Okay, for today's demo, you should first open up this templated spreadsheet located on the courses drive and follow through with this tutorial. And if you follow this tutorial, it will lead you through each of the skills that are going to help you answer many of the questions on your study guide. First of all, you have a spreadsheet here. You are going to want to insert a header. You get to those by going to Insert, over to the text group and to header and footer, and this will allow you to actually type in the header for the spreadsheet. To get out of that header, if you remember, you can actually kind of hide it. Go to View, Normal, and it will temporarily hide it and allow you to kind of work on this as a full spreadsheet. The next thing on the worksheet or on your study guide kind of talks about something called AutoFit. And you could do that here on column A, where if you highlight the column by clicking on the column header, you can go over to the Format menu within Cells on the Home tab, and there is something called Column Width, AutoFit Column Width. And what AutoFit Column Width will do is it will automatically make the column wide enough so that whatever needs to fit within that column will fit. So go ahead and apply AutoFit to column A. The next thing here we're going to do is we're going to format some of these numbers. If we look at unit cost, these are different grocery items, how many of those items we're going to buy, and then how much each of those costs. So for example, one thing of bread costs $2.99. Since these are dollars, we're going to go up here to number formatting. And underneath number formatting, there's a lot of different formattings that will apply symbols or different decimal points depending on what you need. For this one, you're going to use currency. And the shortcut for that is also clicking on this dollar sign here. You can see different number formats include percentages or increasing or decreasing the decimal places. So for this one, we're going to use currency. I'm going to do the same thing here for the grocery budget, which is $100 for the week. And then I am ready to start my formulas. So for this first formula, I'm going to start with the symbol that you should always start formulas with, which is an equal sign. I am then going to click on the quantity, and it will type in the cell address, not the value, but the cell address. I'm going to multiply, which is an asterisk key, and I'm going to click on the unit cost, and it will enter in the cell address, which is C7. And that will create a simple multiplication formula. When I press enter, it will calculate. Now, there's something called autofill, and the study guide does talk to you about this, where it will take each of these cell addresses within the formula, and if you use autofill, which is right here on the bottom right corner, it looks like a black kind of X or T figure, it will increase if you drag down the row numbers. So instead of 7s, it will turn it into 8s or 9s or 10s or 11s. If I were to drag it to the right, it would increase the column letters. So if I were to drag it over here, it would turn the B and the C into a C and a D. It would increase it by 1. So for this, I need to drag it down. So I'm going to grab it here in the corner. I'm going to pull down, and it's basically going to rewrite that formula over and over so I can see each of these. Now, kind of a nice convenient way to be able to see these formulas, and this is actually one of the questions on your study guide, is to turn on formulas. So if you click on the Formulas tab, over here on the far right there's an option called Show Formulas, and what that does is temporarily hide all your formatting and all of your answers and shows you your formula. So I can kind of see what formulas wrote there. It's very easy for me to see that these did increase by 1 and they're doing what they need to do. You'll also notice that they widen your columns, but that's just to give you extra room. And I'm going to go ahead and toggle that back off so I can be back to my original view. Next here, I'm going to create what's called a function. And a function really is just a way to do a complex calculation within a formula, because I could just take this plus this plus this plus this plus this and have this long formula that is easily written out, or I can do a function. And the easy steps for a function is first click where you want the answer to go. Secondly, go up here to the actual function tool, click on the arrow, and decide which function you want. Here are your kind of 5 most common functions: sum, average, counting, min, and max. You go under more functions, you'll have additional functions. For this one, I want to do sum. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on sum. If the numbers I'm trying to add together, which is what sum is, happen to be right above where I'm selected, it will automatically find those numbers. If it does not find those numbers, I do need to click and drag to select those numbers, and it gives me what's called a range. D7 through D8, or D11 rather, is the range of numbers that I'm going to add together. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter for that, and it will give me an answer. And because I'm adding together a bunch of numbers that are already formatted as currency, it automatically has put itself into currency. And down here, I'm going to do amount remaining. So I've spent $37. I have $100. So this is going to be a simple subtraction. Again, I'm going to start my equal sign to start a formula. I'm going to click on my $100 because that's how much money I have. I'm going to do a subtraction symbol, and I'm going to click on the amount of money I spent, which is that $37.86. I press enter, and it gives me how much money I have. Now, inside your study guide, it's also asking you about charts and graphs. It wants to know what kind of a chart should be used to compare to the whole. It wants to know what kind of charts should be used to compare highs and lows, and then what type of chart for comparing something over an amount of time. So here we have some data that we can easily compare. We've got different items here, so I'm going to go ahead and click and drag on those. And I've also have their costs, and I'm not going to include total because it doesn't go along with the actual items. And to insert a chart on Microsoft Excel, I'm going to go to Insert, Charts, and there are a lot of different types of charts. The first one, I want to compare what percentage of the total each of these items costs. So that would be a pie chart, and I like to do just the regular 2D pie charts. And it's going to give me a breakdown of what these charts are. If I want to include what's called data labels, those are some options here where I can add a chart element. I can make sure that these percentages show up on here. So, for example, if I go to data labels and I want those to be in the middle here, it will show me kind of a centered data label. And that gives me kind of a nice area where I can see where these the actual numbers here are. I can as well go up here and change the chart title if I need to. There we go. All right. Now, as I am going to also want to be able to see which one is kind of comparing the highs and the lows. And generally, those are going to be either bar or column graphs. So if you click and select that same data, all right, and I'm going to go ahead and insert another chart. And this one is going to be a column chart. You can see here how it will, again, chart each of those, and it makes it a lot easier to see which one is the lowest, which one is the highest. Right here I can see bread cost me the least, eggs cost me the most. And you can go in here and, again, add chart titles if I need to, data labels if I want to, and have those show up where I need them to be. So once you've created this spreadsheet, go ahead and save it as groceries, and this should give you a good head start on some of the answers on your study guide that you may be having trouble with.